Thank you very much, Bob, for this warm introduction. And I would like to thank everybody here for a very warm reception. From the very first days, which I was hearing about Intersections International, I have a face in front of me, and it's the face of Bob Chase. Because he is the one who is very energetic, very dynamic. He was helping us to work on interreligious, inter-religion issues, inter-ethnic issues, not only in Kazakhstan, but here in the United States. And I'm here actually because of you, Bob, because I very much appreciate your energy, your activity. And through you, I would like to thank your organization, Intersections International, for all the good which you are doing, not only for the US, but for the rest of the world. I'm sure that Bob has already told you all about Kazakhstan and our famous hospitality, so just not to create some kind of problems and discrepancies in descriptions, I just leave it to him. Let me talk about more serious issues tonight, how we see the world and how we are working on it. You know, this meeting tonight is taking place against the backdrop of relentlessly tragic headlines. It's a Friday's heinous and evil terrorist attacks in Paris, the deadly explosions in Beirut the day before that, and of course the drowning of the Russian airline in the Sinai. All of it is a very tragic and very horrible events which are taking place because of the terrorist and extremist activities. I remember quite well that 14 years ago, the United States and this city in particular did witness unimaginable horrors when people jumped and fell from the windows of World Trade Center. I'm mentioning it because I was working here in the US at that time. I was posted at the Embassy of Kazakhstan in Washington, and you know, I saw it myself. I lived through it together with the American public, and you know, it was a kind of watershed in the life of the United States. And you know, we were there from the very first moments when it happened. We stood by you at those difficult days and years. You know, my president, immediately after all these attacks, himself went to the US Embassy in Astana to express its personal solidarity and to sign the book of condolences. He was very firm and he was very resolute later when the help of Kazakhstan was needed. We were first to provide free overflight and land transit for the US and coalition forces to Afghanistan. We were in Iraq demining 1 million mines and helping civilians in that country. We are now extending our support to the counter-violent extremism efforts done by the United States. We hold just this past June the regional conference in Astana talking about these issues. I'm glad that this nation did not give in to grief or despair, but instead united itself and helped to unite the world against the evil of terrorism. After 9/11, Kazakhstan, as I think the rest of the world, became one of the members of the global anti-terrorist coalition. But you know, 14 years passed, and still we continue to ask ourselves whether we're doing all we can to fight this evil. Have we achieved the goals which we put in front of us? What is actually missing today in the world? how we can do it. I know that each of you has your own recipes and your own ideas and your own thoughts about it. We in Kazakhstan are convinced that the world is lacking today one thing: it's confidence. There is no trust among the nations, among people, among different leaders. My president once said, "You cannot shake hands with clenched fists. You have to open your arms to embrace someone, and you have to trust. You have to have a trust in order to do it." So it seems to be simple, but at the same time, it's so difficult to do. But we believe that it's achievable. It's achievable if we can join hands and we can work together to make it happen. And if you think about it, I think if you give a second thought about it, you can easily understand that if we trust each other, we can do a lot. If we don't trust each other, nothing could be done. As a circular and multi-ethnic state with predominantly Muslim population, Kazakhstan has been firmly promoting and realizing this principle in practice against the notion of the clash of civilizations. We have been working to promote mutual understanding and respect, interethnic accord and interreligious dialogue since the first days of our independence. As the world was recovering from the aftermath of 9/11, Kazakhstan responded to international grievances of Muslims, Christians, Jews, Buddhists, and many others by convening Congress of World and Traditional Religions. Since its launch in 2003, the Congress has become a full-fledged platform for multi-track discussions on most pressing and intersecting issues of ethnicity, religion, and world politics. From 2003 to 2015, Kazakhstan's capital, Astana, hosted 5 high-profile gatherings of senior clerics from Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism, Hinduism, Taoism, and many other religions. Every 3 years, we get together in a series of panel discussions and roundtables covering different topics, adopting declarations, reaffirming our commitment to fight for universal values of justice, humanity, and tolerance, and to counter extremism, terrorism, and other forms of violence. It worked. Just to give you an idea how the forum has grown over the past 12 years, here are some statistics. In 2003, inaugural Congress convened religious leaders from only 13 countries in Europe, Asia, Middle East, and Africa. The second meeting was held in 2006 and gathered 43 delegations from 20 countries. In 2009, the third Congress was attended by 77 delegations representing 35 different states. And the fourth meeting convened 87 delegations from 40 countries in 2012. The Congress held its fifth meeting under the theme, "A Dialogue of Religious Leaders and Politicians for Peace and Development," in Astana on June this year, and it was attended by more than 80 delegations coming from 40 countries, as well as by global leaders such as UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, the King of Jordan, Finnish President, OSCE Secretary General, Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and others. And I'm especially pleased to know that our great friend, the Reverend Robert Chase, served as a US delegate to the Congress, where he also moderated a panel of global religious leaders. Intersections International now is well known not only in Kazakhstan but all over the world among religious leaders as an active voice for peace and understanding. And I want to use this opportunity to express sincere gratitude on behalf of the government and myself to you, Bob, for your steadfast support and active participation in the work of this important forum, and of course through you to all your colleagues and all your friends. Thank you very much. We appreciate your support and assistance. The best way I can describe to you the meaning of the Congress is just to quote Bob's words in Astana back in June. This is, quote, "In a day when many see religion as the cause of separation, violence, and fear, we gather here in Astana in affirmation that our religious traditions, as varied as they be, have a common thread: to live as one people throughout the world and to find ways together to foster mutual respect and dignity among all God's people." I think it describes very well the idea of the Congress. By the way, it was Bob's second time of attending the Congress, but the partnership with him, he mentioned it just right now, with the Intersections International started over 7 years ago, when Bob helped my predecessor and now Foreign Minister, Yerlan Idrisov, launch a new dialogue platform for bringing together distinguished representatives of the American religious society. Since then, it has become a solid framework for building understanding in search of the common good. But what is equally important is that since then, our partnership has grown into a true and lasting friendship. We are planning to hold a traditional annual interfaith dinner in Washington, D.C. next year, with participation of not only American religious leaders, but also official and congressional representation, to make everybody aware of what we discuss and agree at our congresses, and to coordinate our actions. This is the main goal of the meetings which we have in Astana: to come back to the communities, to share the information, implement agreements through collective actions, and achieve concrete results. And I hope that with everybody's help, we can achieve our shared goal to bring peace to the world. Bob is also a member of the planning committee of the World Forum of Spiritual Culture, which gathers to explore how culture and spirituality can influence policymakers across national borders in ways that make for peace. So he travels to Astana quite frequently, even more frequently than I do. And so he is the first-hand information about what is happening in Kazakhstan. But of course, the scale of the refugee crisis with millions of people fleeing violence and poverty in Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Northern Africa is astounding. This crisis demands global solidarity. The international community must act together and mobilize resources. It is the time of unprecedented violence and extremism based on ideology of intolerance, which is gaining popularity among young people, not only from poor and developing countries, but also in the West. The importance becomes today to build bridges between cultures, between religions, between those who work on diplomatic issues. And of course, the role of such organizations as Intersection International is becoming even more important. Let me just say that, we all the time were promoting the solidarity, promoting collective action. Just recently, during the UN meeting here in September, my president challenged the world leaders with some ideas how we can work together to bring peace and understanding. President Nazarbayev has proposed a 2045 Global Strategic Initiative Plan to be agreed upon at the centenary of the United Nations. The core idea is to launch a new trade in global development based on fair conditions, when all nations would have equal access to world infrastructure, resources, and markets, as well as to maintain comprehensive accountability for human development. By then, it should be the world free of nuclear weapons, and he called to allocate just 1% of each country's military spending to the UN programs of sustainable development. That could make a lot to achieve the goals which we are putting in front of us. Such plan is indeed very much in sync with, I think, Intersections International's vision for a future when our distinct identities will no longer incite violence, incite division, discrimination, destruction, and despair. We also envision a just world, united in diversity, a world in which human differences serve to advance connection, equality, respect, and abundance for all people. So, Bob, we are looking forward to continuing our fruitful cooperation and partnership. And I would like to address your tremendous team at the Intersection International in our joint pursuit for peace, unity, and reconciliation. And I would like to thank you for your attention and look forward to working with you and to hearing from you your experiences, your perspectives, maybe some ideas which we can work together to foster better dialogue and better understanding. Thank you very much.